Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure to moderate once again this year the Auburn Public Schools public hearing presentation. This is for the year 2015, at which the Auburn Public Schools will be discussing their budget. So without further ado, Dr. Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and welcome to those of you who are here this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to present the budget, the proposed budget for FY-15. As Ken Blanchard said, genuine success does not come from proclaiming our values, but from consistently putting them into daily action. As we built this budget, as we have done these past 6 years, we built it around our core values, as noted here. Overarching, we look to respond to needs that are based on data. Safe and respectful environments is our goal. Our decision-making is based on what's best for students. We have high expectations for all, believe that equitable opportunities should be afforded to all, and as well as being dedicated to continuous improvement.
Excuse me,
Sure. Okay. Can people hear that? Mr. Hugo did say, can you hear that?
No, it's okay.
So the backdrop of the question that we ask ourselves each step along the way is how will this impact students and their achievement? We always begin by setting priorities to drive our decisions. Student safety is of the utmost importance. We have the Auburn Middle School building project, and we remain extremely grateful to the community of Auburn and all of the voters for supporting this project. We committed to having open lines of communication with the community regarding the new middle school, as well as the renovations that will happen to the 10 Swanson Road School and to Packagug and Bryn Mawr. Class size remains a priority for us. Student achievement is something that we always are considering. Textbooks, as well as continued implementation of the educator evaluation system. Additionally, we want to be sure that technology is a tool that we're able to use with our students to enhance both rigor and relevance. We have an iPad implementation this year, a pilot at grade 8 that we plan to expand fully in grade 8 as well as into grade 9 next school year. And that came as a recommendation from the one-to-one digital learning team. We have a commitment to continuous improvement. We can always do better. Despite how well we do, we're always looking to make further improvement. High-quality professional development, we believe, is critically important to continue us to move forward. We're focusing on our strategic plan, and again, I thank those 125 school and community representatives who came in November. We should have a plan, hopefully by May, to share with everyone. And those actually dovetail nicely into both the school and district improvement plans. And we have also increased our advanced placement offerings to 400 or thereabouts, both in terms of participation for students at the high school and qualifying scores. As we do each year, there's a multi-layered approach that takes place. Each of the leadership team members that you see here before you this evening prepare a fiscal draft budget for 15, and that's actually from input from their staff. The leadership team members each meet with Mr. Gray, the business manager, and Dr. Lozay, director of teaching, learning, and curriculum, to defend their request and to further explain the needs that they have in their respective buildings or departments. And then throughout the fall, we met early on in the fall actually and reviewed the budget as presented, ultimately bringing it to school committee in November for the first time. We made several assumptions. As we start this budgeting process early, there are assumptions that we need to make that guide us in our thinking. We've made an assumption that the federal grants will remain at their current appropriations. We've yet to get formal notification from either the MASC or USDOE. Medicaid reimbursement will be at $124,000, which is the same as what we have currently in FY-14. Circuit breaker reimbursement funding at 60%. There is a requirement that it should be at 75. I've not yet seen that ever happen. It went as low as 40% in 1 year, and I believe as high as 72. So 60% is the guidance we've been provided to date. We're using currently the same number of school choice students, 41 in all, 26 at the high school and 15 at the middle. The busing fee does remain in place at $100 $250 per student, up to a maximum of $250 per family. And you'll note when the leadership team members read their respective budgets that we have used offsets from all of the revolving accounts as well as from grants, the goal being to minimize the operating budget's impact. The initial budget proposal that came before the school committee represented a 4.29% increase, a value of $23,278,408. And as we worked and had meetings with the school committee and leadership team, we continued to try and pare that back to the most reasonable number that we could. The goal, however, of insulating our students and protecting them from any fiscal challenges before us, and really trying to focus on what's in their best interest, was always at the forefront of our decisions. And I am happy to say, and thanks to the town meeting, we do continue to offer full-day kindergarten that's non-tuition based, and it's had a positive and powerful impact. And then finally, as noted, grants are used in every way possible to further minimize the impact to taxpayers. Throughout this process, as I've said, we're committed to fiscal responsibility. We review our revolving accounts, we look at grants. The school committee did not add any additional fees this year. However, we have used an offset of $75,000 from bus fees that we will be collecting. In total, the school department's fiscal 15 request is for $23,072,065. And that represents a 3.37% increase over the current appropriation of $22,320,000. This is a historical look back that shows from fiscal 2010 to the request of fiscal 15, the actual increase or in that first year decrease that has been requested or appropriated by the town. In total, and as you can see on the column to the very right, the increase or decrease does vary, but the mean or average over those years is a 1.92% increase. Noted in the budget, you will hear this evening there are a number of new staffing requests. The first one here in the elementary schools, what we're actually looking to do for those first two line items is to increase the number of hours per day from 6.5 to 6 3/4 for both our instructional assistants and ABA instructional assistants, applied behavioral analysis. And these are for those who are assigned to work with special education students whose IEPs, due to their special needs, require that they have support throughout their day from start to end. Right now, what we've done is we try to juggle staff, and it really is not the best. To the very right, what we noted here is, in keeping with our core values, is ones that we believe most directly spoke to those. So both of those really address the student safety issue and high expectations. The request for 2 ELL, English Language Learner tutors. These are for equitable opportunities and high expectations, but we also had an audit by the Department of Ed. It actually took place last year. It was just this year that we received it, and we are not currently meeting the state guidelines in terms of number of hours that we're providing to our English language learners. We currently have approximately 75 students whose first language is not English and who require support, and there were at one time approximately, so approximately 16 to 17 different languages that the students actually speak. So this is actually to meet a state expectation. At the Mary D. Stone School, we will require an additional special education IA, instructional assistant, and that's to address the need of an incoming preschooler. And also 2 inclusion IAs. We have a positive initiative that's taking place across the district in terms of co-teaching and inclusion. And this will provide support so that way the special education teacher and any support staff can begin making sure that the students are engaged with the full curriculum with the Common Core, as are their peers. And to address the class size issue, we will require an additional 4th grade teacher at the Junior Bancroft School. The school committee has set a goal of having 25 students or less at the elementary schools, and this position will be required to ensure that's the case. Additionally, at Bryn Mawr, there are 2 other students coming in from preschool. These 2 will enter at Bryn Mawr that will require specialized support services. And then the special education teacher to address that co-teaching and inclusion, and also provide an equitable opportunity in both of the primary schools. At Auburn Middle School, that first request for $3,714 is to increase the special education IA or ABA hours to meet the student's day. And then a media or iPad integration specialist. With the new Auburn Middle School coming online in the next year, we are going to have a state-of-the-art 3,400 or so square foot library media center. The Auburn Middle School, in my tenure here, has not been staffed with a qualified librarian media specialist, coupled with the fact that we're going to be doing an implementation full scale for grade 8 next year and a pilot for grade 7. This is very much warranted and will support that initiative. And then finally, an $11,000 increase. This is to increase the art teacher, who's currently at 0.8, approximately 4 days a week, to full-time, to 5. So the subtotal for that, the new positions is $342,098, and this is incorporated in our overall budget request. However, as the school committee reviewed the budget most recently on March 12th, we are able to eliminate, we had a one-to-one nurse, but due to a change in student needs, that's no longer required for next year. So the total staffing increases is $306,015. We believe as a school district and on behalf of the school committee that the requests that have been asked for and received generously and appreciated by the school committee and the entire leadership team really speak to the overall commitment that we have had in working with the town to over a 6-year period seeing an average of a 1.92% increase, all the while living with our mission to educate and prepare students for the challenges and opportunities of a changing world. Just to highlight our emphasis on rigor, relevance, and relationships. In terms of rigor, our commitment to that is seen through the core curriculum that we have, both the advanced placement and the pre-advanced placement trainings. We offer trainings in keys to literacy, and we see the impact of that across our schools. Right across the curriculum, we continue to expand our STEM programming, co-teaching and inclusion that I mentioned, the iPad implementation, and the implementation of the Common Core state standards. In terms of relevance, through Dr. Lose's guidance and the support of the leadership team, we are regularly offering high-quality PD to our teachers to keep them on the forefront in cutting-edge best practices. We're implementing with fidelity the educator evaluation system and really focusing our discussions on teaching and learning. And there's a considerable amount of collaborative summer work that takes place across all grades and within each department. In terms of relationships, we believe and are seeing positive results from the co-teaching and inclusion when students have the support of both a content educator and someone who can help them access the full curriculum is really realizing some positive results, and we anticipate that to continue. We have both horizontal and vertical teams, whether they're across grades or across schools. We continue to commit to strengthening transitions, not only to support our students as they move from one school to the next, but also our parents and to keep them engaged. And then finally, community service learning projects that span the entire town that we have schools committed to. And finally, responding to needs based on data. Data is a discussion point in our schools on a regular basis. And regardless of the discussion or the curriculum area that is the focus, it's always about what can we do to help our students improve in their achievements. Tonight's public hearing, this is in compliance with MGL Chapter 71, Section 38N, that requires us to publicly hold a hearing about our budget, and we have done this now for the 6th year in this fashion. Mr. Baker will once again serve as our moderator, and I thank you, Mr. Baker, for doing so. Just as we have done in the past, we mailed invitations to all town meeting members. We notified, we posted this on the local cable channel as well as in the Auburn News and the Auburn Mass Daily. And this is a public meeting that's been posted, and it's really in compliance with our goal of making sure that we're being open and transparent throughout our entire process. Each of the administrators' presentations have been posted to the Auburn Public Schools website. If you go to the departments and then to business, they are all listed there. We continue to update it as any versions are made changes after school committee approval. And there's a question and answer section. And I don't believe we've had any questions this year, but in the past it has been used sparingly. But I would encourage people who have them to certainly reach out. And we believe that this really accomplishes the mission of the school committee, which is to maintain, as I said, a transparent and open process. With Mr. Baker serving as the moderator, he will ask each member of the leadership team to read through their line items. If you find that there is any line item you have a question on, if you simply just call a hold, you'll place a hold on it and return to that once that leadership team member has finished his or her section. And we will be referring to the section in the column marked FY-15 adjusted rate. In closing, Tom Landry said setting a goal is not the main thing. It is deciding how you go about achieving it and staying with that plan. What I believe and what the leadership team and school committee believes is that the budget we have before you tonight does just that. It keeps with the plan to put students first as well as their achievement. It's our mutually shared goal to continually improve the Auburn Public Schools. Every one of us, I'm sure, agree that our students deserve absolutely nothing less than the best we can provide to them. I thank you for your support, and will now turn it over to Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Dr. Now for Auburn High School budget, we have Casey Hanfield, please.
Good evening, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal, assistant principal, $213,748. Secretaries, $119,583. Special education instruction staff, $266,521. Regular education instructional staff, $3,173,592. Building specialists, $415,883. Library specialist, $80,659. Guidance counselors, including secretarial staff, $350,378. Instructional assistants, $184,713. Applied behavior analysis assistants, $53,826.58. Custodians, $299,744. Good school nursing coverage, $53,400.27. Contracted services, including longevity, teacher stipends, building facilitators, and others, $67,657.17, using a school choice offset of $40,000. Total salary is $5,279,975.02. Substitutes, $39,600. Principal supplies, $300. Postage, $6,716.71. Principal's professional development, $3,000. Principal/school dues, $5,704. Classroom supplies, $24,570.50. Art supplies, $5,665. Cleaning supplies, $24,189.60. Graphics, $7,373.45. With technology, $5,940. Staff travel, $500. Commencement, $10,854. Curriculum competitions, $13,567.50. Curriculum awards, $2,242. Library supplies and books, $12,175. Audio visual supplies, $622.97. Guidance supplies, $11,592. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel and oil, $51,506.82, using a building rental offset of $5,000. Electrical, $168,429.79, using a building rental offset of $12,000. Water, $8,201.77, using a building rental offset of $200. Sewage, $2,704.13, using a building rental offset of $2,835. Telephone, $8,779.13. Building repair and maintenance, $69,246.90. Custodial supplies, $13,483.73. Total support costs, $457,615. Total building costs, $5,777,190.02. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, thank you, Tracy.
We will now have the Auburn Middle School, Joe Gagnon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal, Assistant Principal, $194,150. Principal's Office, $296,269. Instructional Staff, Special Ed, $352,856. Instructional Staff, Regular Education, $2,062,600, using a Title I grant offset of $57,729. Specialists, $362,722. Guidance Office, $159,116. Instructional Assistants, Special Ed, $162,375. ABAs, $119,348. Nurses, $59,292. Custodians, $129,297. Salary subtotal, $3,703,875. Contracted services, $52,413. Total salary, $3,756,288. Substitutes, $28,000. Principal's office supplies, $622. Postage, $1,500. Principal's professional development, $3,000. Principal's dues, $950. Classroom supplies, $18,054. Art supplies, $2,500. Printing supplies, $12,462. Staff travel, $500. Textbooks, $3,148. Commencement, $2,705. Awards and incentives, $1,000. Library supplies and books, $5,512. Audiovisual supplies, $2,719. Guidance supplies, $1,340. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel, oil, $56,800, using an asteroid account offset of $5,000. Electrical, $35,329, using a building rental offset of $3,000. Water, $5,989, using an asteroid account offset of $750. Sewage, $104, using an asteroid account offset of $2,833. Telephone, $823. Building maintenance repair, $28,129. Custodial supplies, $12,767. Total support cost, $196,206. Total building cost, $3,980,496. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Joe. Now we will have package off school with Deb Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal's office, including secretary, $128,173. Instructional staff, special ed, $195,401. Regular ed, $851,585. Specialists, $250,574. School counselor, $80,659. Instructional assistants, special ed, $113,111. Regular ed, $17,775. ABAs, $83,969. Math paraprofessionals, $18,682. Custodians, $86,198. Nursing, $59,292. A salary subtotal of $1,885,418. Contracted services, $8,596 for a total salary of $1,894,014. Substitutes, $21,000. Principal's office supplies, $1,670. Postage, $300. Principal's professional development, $1,500. Principal's dues, $970. Classroom supplies, $24,705. Art supplies, $1,000. Printing supplies, $8,100. Staff travel, $100. Textbooks, $750. Library supplies and books, $750. Audiovisual supplies, $1,125. Guidance supplies, $500. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel and oil, $13,904, using a Galaxy food service and rental funds offset of $5,000. Electrical, $17,036, using a Galaxy food service and rental funds offset of $5,000. Water, $4,564, using Galaxy food service and rental funds offset of $500. Telephone, $1,572. Building repair and maintenance, $14,550. Custodial supplies, $5,001. Total support costs, $98,347, for a total building cost of $2,013,361. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Deb. We now will have the Mary D. Stone School of Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal's office, including secretary, $134,514. Instructional staff, special education, $268,250, using an early childhood grant and preschool revolving account offsets of $31,452. Regular education staff, $687,935. Specialists, $168,230. School counselor, $58,254. Custodians, $86,198. Instructional assistants, special education, $132,163. Regular education instructional assistants, $73,245, using kindergarten revolving account offsets of $22,000. ABA, $231,248. Math paraprofessional, $18,682. Nurses, $71,359. Salary subtotal, $1,930,078. Contracted services, $9,637, for total salary, $1,939,715. Substitutes, $13,500. Principal's office supplies, $1,915. Postage, $300. Principal's professional development, $1,500. Principal dues, $970. Classroom supplies, $22,000. Art supplies, $1,000. Printing supplies, $7,700. Staff travel, $100. Textbooks, $750. Library supplies and books, $750. Audiovisual supplies, $1,125. Guidance supplies, $500. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel and oil, $44,440, using food service and satellite funds offsets of $5,000. Electrical, $13,842, using satellite funds offsets of $3,000. Water, $1,798, using satellite fund offsets of $500. Sewage, $664, using satellite offsets, $1,416. Telephone, $637. Building repair and maintenance, $3,721, using satellite fund offsets of $1,417. Custodial supplies, $10,968. Total support costs, $114,930, for total building cost, $2,068,144.
Yes, thank you, Beth. We now have Beth Chamberlain. Do we? I guess not. So, okay, we have Julia Bancroft with Susan Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal office, including secretary, $128,173. Instructional staff, special education, $124,824. Regular education, $918,665. Specialists, $249,588. School counselor, $48,632. Nurse, $59,292. Instructional assistants, special education, $119,058. ABA, $29,837. Regular education, $39,653, using Title I grant offsets of $18,682. Custodians, $86,198. Salary subtotal, $1,803,920. Contract services, $15,328. Total salary, $1,819,248. Substitutes, $18,000. Principal office supplies, $1,850. Postage, $300. Principal's professional development, $4,000. Principal's dues, $750. Classroom supplies, $29,067. Art supplies, $1,278. Printing supplies, $9,659. Staff travel, $100. Textbooks, $750. Library supplies and books, $750. Audio-visual supplies, $1,125. Guidance supplies, $500. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel and oil, $11,478, using Galaxy and rental fund offsets of $8,000. Electrical, $14,321, using Galaxy rental food service funds offsets of $7,500. Water, $1,740, using Galaxy and rental funds offsets of $600. Sewage, $620, using Galaxy funds offsets of $1,416. Telephone, $1,432. Building repair and maintenance, $12,672, using Galaxy funds offsets of $1,417. Custodial supplies, $4,645. Total support costs, $97,287. Total building costs, $1,934,535. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, thank you, Susan. We will now have Beth Chamberlain and Brett Mott.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Principal office, including secretary, $130,014. Instructional staff for special education, $191,420. Instructional staff regular education, $771,103. School counselor, $54,957. Specialists, $166,172. Instructional assistants for special education, $199,150. Instructional assistants regular education, $92,779. Instructional assistants ADAs, $112,261. Custodians, $86,198. Nurse, $67,348. Salary subtotal, $1,890,085. Contracted services, $7,278. Total salary, $1,897,363. Substitutes, $16,500. Principal's office supplies, $1,645. Postage, $300. Principal's professional development, $4,000. Principal dues, $970. Classroom supplies, $21,620. Art supplies, $1,000. Printing supplies, $7,850. Staff travel, $100. Textbooks, $750. Library supplies and books, $750. Audiovisual, $1,125. Guidance supplies, $500. 504 supplies, $250. Fuel oil, $38,850, using food service and satellite funds offset of $7,500. Electrical, $14,965, using food service and satellite funds offset of $5,000. Water, $2,095, using food service satellite funds offset of $500. Sewage, $656, using satellite funds offset of $1,416. Telephone, $450. Building repair and maintenance, $10,129, using satellite funds offset of $1,417. Custodial supplies, $4,635. Total support costs, $112,640. Total building costs, $2,026,503. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Beth. We will now have athletics and fine arts. and Casey Hanfield is going to be doing that.
Athletics, physical education, athletics health office, $85,556, and 58 cents, using school choice offset of $40,000. Coaches' salaries, $189,619. Total salary, $275,215.58. Contracted services, $500. Athletic director office supplies, $460. Athletic department postage, $300. Athletic director professional dues, $290. Athletics, physical education classroom supplies, $5,000. High school athletics transportation, $50,000. Game management, ice time, $35,427. Offset with fees for non-honorable players at $5,000. Coaches professional development, $1,000. Athletics reconditioning of equipment, $14,000. Middle school equipment transportation officials, $0, using athletic revolving offset of $7,000. Middle school officials, $2,000. Middle school transportation, $4,900. Middle school equipment, $4,000. Team equipment, $15,811. Supplies, training, first aid, $4,249. Athletic awards, $5,746. Athletic insurance, $9,200. And Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association and Southernmost County dues, $5,655. For a total, in the other column, of $158,038. Total program cost for athletics is $433,753.58. Now on to the fine arts music budget. Fine arts office supplies, $565. Fine arts travel, teachers and department heads, $525. Fine arts dues for department heads, $125. Music, fine arts classroom supplies, $8,800. Transportation for fine arts, $7,500. Music staff duties, $3,000. Awards for fine arts, $800. Fine arts equipment repair and maintenance, $4,100. Band uniforms, $2,500. Band equipment, $2,500, for a total program cost of $30,450. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Casey. We will now have facilities with Joe Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Facility Director's Office included maintenance mechanic, $102,000. Contracted services, $240. Building security, $20,000. Equipment repair district-wide, $4,631. Equipment service contracts district-wide, $42,707. Fire extinguisher inspections, $1,872. Maintenance staff miles, $2,000. Truck, gas, and maintenance system line, $2,903. Custodial overtime district-wide, $10,000. Total support costs, $64,114. Total building costs district-wide, $166,354. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Joe. Now, we're going to do central administration. Instead of only one presenter, we're going to have three. Peter Gray, Kathy Oze, and Eric Bouvier. This is exciting, three presenters.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My presentation will include the superintendent's office, the business office, costs associated with school committee, as well as costs associated with our central office on 5 West Street. The superintendent of schools office, including the administrative assistant, $228,087. The business office, including the business manager, the accounts payable, and the payroll assistants of $201,800. The central office secretaries of $39,674, using revolving account offsets of $19,937. Our subscheduler district-wide of $12,833. Our custodian for $21,549. Contracted services of $6,384. Legal notices of $1,000. Census of $750. Legal services for $7,000. System-wide travel for $18,740. For teacher salaries and retirements, $40,000. For crossing guards, $45,478. For transportation for regular education, $424,698, using a bus fee revenue offset of $75,000. Transportation for community service learning of $10,000. Degree changes of $112,976. Other contractual obligations of $307,015. Mr. Chairman, hold on that one, please. Site managers for $10,000. School committee dues of $9,400. Superintendent's postage of $6,000. Superintendent supplies of $5,500. Superintendent's dues of $2,900. Superintendent's publications of $250. The business manager's computer supplies of $100. The business manager's office supplies of $250. The business manager's travel of $100. The business manager's dues of $750. The business manager's professional development of $1,500. The annual audit of $4,000. Central building office cost of electrical of $11,776. Fuel oil of $20,000. Custodial supplies of $2,575. Building repairs and maintenance of $6,025. And telephone of $6,099. For a total of $1,529,489. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, Bill, why don't we get to, before we get to the other two presenters? I think so, yeah.
On the question on the other contractual obligations, was my stretch. This year, $307,015. Last year was $246. That's up $61,000, or about 25%. But the thing that bothered me this year and years past, we have to go down to this budget a huge number of lines that say negotiated. So I'm assuming this is what this particular number leads for, but just a quick, and I apologize for my mathematics, really bad. I came up with a figure roughly of around $2,500,000 under this to be negotiated. I applied a 4% factor to that, and I said, okay, we should be probably spending another $104,000. So I'm coming up with a question of what's this other $200,000 in here that I'm missing?
Okay. Well, thank you. Is that my call, Bill?
I have no idea.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Westland. The contracts, the ones that are noted in here that say to be negotiated, those are basically people on an individual contract. The administrators could be the OT, the confidential employees, and the bookkeeper likely. We'll also be negotiating with the teachers next year. So what this doesn't show, you'll see in many of the cases, if they'll be making a step increase, that is reflected, but for those at the top step, it's not. And as part of negotiations, they may be looking for a cost of living increase, the COLA. So that's all considered in that value we have.
I guess it still boils down to, how did we come up with this $246,000 last year, and this year we come up with 300. We've got more people in this pending stage.
There are more people that we'll be considering. So last year when we looked at it, we said which contracts would be up for renegotiation. We had secretaries, custodians, instructional assistants that were all negotiating along with those on individual contracts. We will need, we've set aside more funds because our teachers group is the largest group in total. So that will allow us.
There's no question about that.
Yes, that will allow us money to negotiate good
And that's
faith
not-
with all groups.
That's not reflecting on the excellent job they do.
Thank you.
How did this $246,000 work out? Did we have a little left over from last
What I
year?
can say right now is we fared well in that in our negotiations, and there was ample there, not an excessive amount left over, no. So we have to go into it on our best faith estimate of what we are hoping to accomplish.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moderator, just another question, maybe for Mr. Gray. I didn't want to stop the presentations and all the budgets, but the electrical bill, I have no electric house, and believe me, the cost of electricity has gone only one way, this way up. Except for one building, everybody's electrical costs dropped quite a bit. What's the significance, Mr. Business Manager, in that particular?
Glad you're not turning the lights on?
Turning it to Mr. Gray or to you, Mr. Fahey, I can tell you over the past several years, and this is a commitment that everyone at the Auburn Public Schools has made to really try to appropriately so minimize turn off computers and the digital projectors that we have. So due to our commitment to being as green as possible, we've realized savings. And Mr. Fahey, if you have anything you'd like to add to that?
In that one particular bill that does not show the decrease, anticipating future energy costs when we install air conditioning in this bill. So that's why that number is high for this bill.
Okay, just brought up for a question, because when I get my bill, which used to run around $200 or $300, Now you're talking over $500, and it's only going in that one direction. And just a closing statement overall, Mr. Moderator, if you will. The school committee, the school folks done a tremendous job in coming up with this particular budget. But I read in the newspaper, the town administrator said that he was looking to have something in the vicinity of $22,980,000, which is less than 0.5%. My only question, has the finance committee voted on both of these budgets? The finance committee
They did.
on these school budget?
They did. We went last week, and their vote is in support of the town manager's recommendation at this time. And with the agreement, I think this is fair to say from both town manager Jacobson and CFO Kazanovich, and echoed by the finance, that if, depending on how state numbers come in, they would be certainly willing to look at not only the school department's budget, but all budgets across town. But they did vote.
You're only talking about $92,000, which isn't too very much between the budgets.
Correct, I agree.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, now have the vote time.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. ELE tutors, $119,207. Director of Teaching, Learning, Curriculum Office, including Secretary, $119,207.
$128,937. Math coach, $28,271, using Title I and Title IIA offsets of $44,449. System-wide professional development, $85,000, using school choice offset of $40,000. System-wide professional development supplies, $5,000. System-wide classroom supplies, $5,000, using school choice offset of $5,000. Substitute staff for system-wide professional development, $14,000, using school choice offset of $6,000. Director's professional development, $1,500. Director's supplies, $1,000. Director's dues, $850. Director's publications, $300. District-wide textbooks, $170,000, using school choice offset of $50,000. English learner education costs, translators, $3,000. Teaching supplies, $3,000. Testing supplies, $500. And staff travel, $400. Total for the Director of Teaching, Learning, and Curriculum Office, $565,965. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and we now have our budget.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Technology support maintenance, $73,100. Director of Technology Office, including District Data Coordinator, $134,694.92. Director's Computer Supplies, $0, using school choice offsets of $34,857. Director's Professional Development, $1,500. Director's Dues, $500. Technician Support Travel, $664. Computer Maintenance Contracted Services, $16,000, using school choice offsets of $26,000. Computer Software Contracted Services, $62,915.10, using school choice offsets of $8,143, for a total of Director of Technology costs of $289,374.02.
Thank you, Eric. We now are going to go to Pupil Services, and that'll be Peter Gray again. All right, Pam Kaufman, not Peter Gray. There's been a substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Office of Pupil Services, Director, including the Secretary, $115,262. District-wide, which includes related services staff, a physical therapy assistant, $50,208. Occupational therapy therapist, $75,981. A occupational therapy assistant is $41,359. Psychologist, $161,318. The team chairpersons to oversee the special education processes in the schools, $300,751. Behavior specialist is $45,976, using Medicaid funds offset at $34,683. Speech therapist, $265,465, with a salary subtotal of $1,056,320. Under contracted services, there are stipends of $10,332, summer program of $32,000, substitutes $18,000. Under health services costs, there is $900 set aside for health services contracted services, physicians stipends $5,000, health services supplies $3,000, nurses substitutes $5,500, nurses conferences $500, nurses travel $100. Health services subtotal is $15,000. For special education homebound students, $5,000, using a Medicaid offset of $5,000. Contracted services, district-wide, is $116,305 with a federal grant offset of $157,067. Psychological testing services, $2,500, using a Medicaid funds offset of $2,500. In-town special education transportation is $125,000, using Medicaid funds offset of $115,000. Non-public school transportation, $320,000. Tuition for Massachusetts public schools, $27,900. For tuition for non-public schools is $471,700, using circuit breaker funds offset of $663,900. And sped tuition for collaboratives is $27,627, using the federal grant funds offset of $172,373, for a total support cost representing $2,227,684,000, and the offsets represent a third of the cost.
Thank you, Mayor. And that concludes the 2015 budget presentation. Thank you all for coming. Stay out of the wind on the way home.